They have to start to understand that. And I think this is why nation-state adoption is important. Because if they understand that, then they have to effectively deregulate money. They have to just treat money as something that can freely flow. And I don't know if that will happen first in Europe or other places, but it's more likely that it will happen in other places because the incentives in Europe still are to protect the old system, which doesn't really function anymore. But they're still going to protect it until they can until it doesn't work anymore. But that could be very soon because it's all coming apart as we sit here. And Bitcoin, of course, is gaining more and more dominance. So I'm hoping the European Central Bank releases more FUD because their last piece sent us up on a nice bull run. We have to engage them. I don't think if we just sit back, they'll figure it out on their own. It's going to be us talking to them and trying to make things better. But a part of that making things better is also fixing or optimizing prior legislation. There's a lot of conflicting legislation and things don't really make sense because, again, if you're a lawmaker, you're paid to make laws. That's your job. Just like if you're a central banker, you're paid to print money. And we don't have yet the concept of a law optimizer or law remover. So the law just gets more and more convoluted and complex, where the weaponization of that law is a real danger. And that is probably the biggest threat to people's liberties than anything else at this time.
In this interview, SAMSON MOW shares his 2025 Bitcoin prediction and explains why we're on the brink of a major breakout. He highlights the global collapse of the fiat money system and warns of a plan to take control of Bitcoin and crypto, with BlackRock emerging as a major player in the space. However, MOW suggests that this will soon be the least of our concerns as entire nations are now targeting Bitcoin. Bitcoin has seen an unprecedented surge in recent months, with its price currently above $96,000, marking a more than 100% increase year-to-date. MOW emphasizes the growing urgency for nation-states to adopt Bitcoin and integrate it into the global economy before the inevitable collapse of the current financial system. Let's dive into this latest interview with SAMSON MOW, where he discusses his Bitcoin predictions for the coming months and the huge influx of capital that's about to flow into the space.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
You just have to keep repeating the message that that's not the case. And Christine Lagarde was, or ECB was community noted on Twitter X. And people just said fiat money is used for more money laundering. So I think it's just, they're going to repeat their talking points and we repeat our talking points. And fortunately, we have more time on our side and we have Bitcoin on our side. So eventually we should win out. But we do have to keep on repeating and countering the FUD because that's their livelihood, right? If you're a central banker, you need to tell people that, you're valuable and you do something other than printing money, which you don't, and that you provide a valuable service, right? It's like, their job is to nail nails into walls. And that is what they're going to do. And they can't do anything else. So they're going to tell you that nailing nails into the wall is very important and stabilizes the economy. But at the end of the day, people know, people understand. And I think there is a very strong grassroots movement of Bitcoin adoption in Europe. And it's kind of not as strong elsewhere in the world. But in Europe, the people, the plebs, the ordinary Bitcoiners, they know what's wrong with the economy. They know what's wrong with the money. So they're going to run the nodes. They're going to stack sats. And eventually they will affect change. And the ways that we affect change are to find ways to engage. So in Germany, we are working with Bitcoin in Bundestag. That's an initiative put on to bring Bitcoiners into the German parliament to educate them on what Bitcoin is and what benefits Bitcoin can bring. And these kind of initiatives are very powerful because it's a direct way for us to interface with the powers that be. I believe Bitcoin has more transformative effects outside of just being sound money. It changes people as well in general. So it makes you better people, and governments are made of people. So hopefully we can get better politicians, better regulators, better everything. And I believe that's also part of how we win. So we're working, engaging, and trying to orange pill the governments and the politicians and the presidents, etc. I think we're slowly going to get there, and it's going to be a challenging path because governments are not quickly moving agile entities. They're very slow, but I believe that some people do see the benefit of Bitcoin, and we just have to keep pressing on those points and trying to make them see the light, see the orange light. It's difficult to go in there and say Bitcoin is sound money, 21 million, immutable, permissionless, all that stuff, because that will fall on deaf ears. What we try to do at Gen 3 is go with the approach of solving problems. So do you want to reach some ESG goal? Then maybe we can talk about mining and we're getting rid of flare gas. And this is an approach we took in Colombia, because I don't think that they would go on the sound money route at all. Or legislate Bitcoin to be a legal tender, or deregulate in the case of Argentina. But we went in with the mining and ESG goal alignment. And I think that works for them. Other places, like in Indonesia, we engaged with the previous governor there, and they were interested in basically generating money to do other things. So we talked about how mining could tap into excess energy, stranded energy, all sorts of types of energy they have. Because a lot of the developing world, the global south, they actually have a lot of energy, but just no way to access that. So that was that discussion point. But generally, it's about trying to find things that they are interested in and how Bitcoin can help them on what they want to do.
Mo emphasizes that this journey is only just beginning, drawing a comparison between the early years of Bitcoin and the current surge in interest and investment. He also acknowledges that BlackRock's recent entry into Bitcoin will reshape the crypto landscape, with more institutional investors coming on board. This influx of capital is expected to push Bitcoin's price significantly higher, much like we saw during this year's halving event. Mo points out that this is a pivotal moment in the financial ecosystem, as the growing adoption of Bitcoin by governments, institutions, and the media highlights its increasing recognition and value.
So I often talk about what is the important part of nation-state adoption, and that is the grassroots part. The top-level part, engaging with governments, is the way that we can make things better. But the foundation is you guys here sitting in the stadium and talking about Bitcoin and telling more people about Bitcoin, because this is what grounds it. And we see cases where Bitcoin adoption fails because there is no grassroots anchor. So Central African Republic, they've announced that they're doing something with Bitcoin. They did their own token, and then they flip-flopped and abolished the thing and put it back in. And I believe that's largely because there was no grassroots initiative there, nothing grounding it. It's just the government trying to make some money. But this is what keeps the government honest. It's the people. You have to hold them accountable. So without this, there can be no Bitcoin adoption. So it's really important that we focus on the grassroots and getting real Bitcoin adoption happening. A lot of countries do have excess power. They're just wasting it. For example, Canada, I think there's enough energy there to sustain 3 full Bitcoin networks. And a lot of that is just run off or sold at 2 cents a kilowatt hour to the US. But largely it's just run off. They just open the gates to the hydro dams and let the water run. And that can all be Bitcoin, and that can be money that can build roads, hospitals, airports, you name it. So the opportunity is simply just convert your excess energy into money, and you can do what you want with that money. You can keep the Bitcoin, which personally I would recommend, but you can also sell it and get other things that you think are valuable. So the angle with nation-state adoption and mining is that it's an easy in, that they simply just buy the equipment and take advantage of what they already have. And at the end of the day, the energy of a country is free for that country. And I believe there are a lot of countries that are already mining Bitcoin, just not announcing it. Like Kingdom of Bhutan, they were outed because they were part of the, I forgot, BlockFi or Celsius, but one of the bankruptcy filings that they were revealed to be mining, and then they just came out and owned it. But there are more probably that are mining because it's really zero cost to them to use their own energy. Mining is an easy way in, but it's important for us, I think, to advocate for more Bitcoin mining at the nation-state level, because that mitigates the attack on Bitcoin in some ways. We try to educate the governments and explain to them what Bitcoin is, but the best way for them to understand what Bitcoin is simply to experience it, transact it, to get some Bitcoin over Lightning, and then you see how powerful this thing is. Because when you understand it, then you are less privy to making bad policy or misunderstanding the nature of Bitcoin. So you understand that Bitcoin is simply information, and you can't really ban information. And then you'll be less inclined to do a lot of the bad policy making in the EU, like trying to ban self-hosted or self-custodial wallets, because you understand that you can't do that. And it's the same with mining. Mining, you could see governments cracking down or trying to enforce the miners to KYC their miners or filter transactions or block transactions. But if they're actually mining, then they should understand through that process that they can try to do things like attack the network through mining, but it probably won't have any effect. Or you can try to ban mining, and it also won't have an effect too. Similar to China, they cracked down on mining, and there was a mass exodus. But who was harmed at the end of the day? It was the Chinese miners that were harmed, not the rest of the network. The rest of the network benefited greatly from that because suddenly difficulty dropped, and everyone is making much more money. So if a government is mining, they'll experience that, and then they'll learn that lesson implicitly that I should not ban mining, and if someone does do that, I will benefit. So the best way to learn is really to experience it. I think this is why trying to push them towards mining is an easy win.
SAMSON MOW predicts an impending economic catastrophe fueled by collapsing fiat currencies, rampant inflation, and bank failures. He suggests shifting to a Bitcoin standard as the world faces this looming crisis. MOW argues that the promises made by central banks have proven empty, resulting in excessive money printing and a rise in poor investments. He believes that, in the wake of the recent inflation surge, there will be no return to the old financial order. What are your thoughts on SAMSON MOW's Bitcoin prediction? Share your comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.